the presence of the Cuban-Americans in Miami. How can they help from Miami, from the area that you oversee, in the process of reconciliation with the island?
Well, basically, they're one part of that reconciliation process, because the Cuban people are divided by the Florida Straits, but they're also divided by ideology and history of some political divisions that run very deep. And so Cuba needs to undergo a transition, and I believe a transition of some sorts is already in process. But what we pray and hope for is a soft landing in this transition. And if there's going to be a soft landing, then we need to ensure that the Cubans on both sides of the Florida Strait, because they remain still the same people, that they achieve some sort of reconciliation, so that Cuba can have a future of hope.
And the growing role of the church in Cuba, it seems to be taking on a new life there.
Well, yes, the church in Cuba has always been a significant player in Cuban society, as it is in all countries of Latin America. However, the Cuban Revolution did isolate the church, and so for many years after the Cuban Revolution, the church was marginalized, and those who practiced their faith were often penalized, and so it lost a lot of influence in society. However, since the mid-'80s, the Cuban church has been trying to make itself an evangelizing presence in Cuba that exists, and trying to be a witness of the gospel in that society. And in recent years, in the past decade or so, even in the years predating the Holy Father's visit in 1998, the Cuban church has been conquering new space in order to act, in order to exist. Part of that was represented by the growth of Caritas in Cuba, a social service agency of the Catholic Church. And so the church continues to try to expand its space within Cuban society. And in recent weeks, it seems that there's been some new and unprecedented dialogue between the church and the authorities of the Cuban state, which hopefully in the days and weeks to come might result in the release of several dozens of political prisoners that still languish in Cuban jails. And it's, I think, an important step because, again, it represents the church acting within the society in which it exists, acting not out of a political agenda or influenced by any ideology, but acting as an agent of the gospel